So something interesting happened on Sunday. I was making an appearance on Outlaw Radio Network in Kitsap County. It's a really fun radio show I come on a couple times a year that's based in Kitsap County. And we were talking about State Representative Tara Simmons, who, as you know, is a Democratic lawmaker elected in the Bremerton area. And I'm very critical of her often on the show because she's totally pro-criminal. I mean, she was convicted of a felony about 10 years ago related to drug crimes. So she became the first, as they say, formerly incarcerated person, it's a very nice term, to be elected to the state house. And Olympian, I've said all along, I think that's a great achievement for someone to turn their life around in that manner. But then I think she used that great achievement to push through bills that will make our communities less safe. So anyway, we're having a conversation about Tara Simmons, and one of the hosts just threw out that she was posting pictures of herself on social media at a gun range, which they found interesting for a variety of reasons. One of those reasons being she is a convicted felon, right? And so they thought, can she be at a gun range? What's going on there? Now, that aspect of this is actually the most easily explained aspect of this story. So I want to get into it here. And this is the height of hypocrisy for me. So on her Facebook page, in a post that wasn't public, it was a post reserved for her friends, on March 30th, Tara Simmons posted 2 pictures of her at a gun range. She said this: "Kind of sad that single women need to learn how to protect themselves these days. But I couldn't ask for a better teacher. Thank you for all you've done to make me feel safe." And she tags her trainer in it. Now, after I heard about this potential post on the radio and then had the post sent to me because I could not see it because she does a lot of public posts on her page, but this one was not public. I looked at that and I thought, well, that's a little strange because that picture on the left sure looks like a so-called assault weapon. And I said, I'm no expert, but that magazine sure looks like a so-called high-capacity magazine. And I thought to myself, I am pretty sure that Representative Tara Simmons voted to ban both of those things. So I started digging. We ran that picture by 4 different firearms experts because it's hard. I mean, I'm not a firearms expert, so looking at it, I couldn't tell immediately what it was. And the general consensus among those 4 firearms experts was it looks to be an AR-15 with a 30-round magazine. So 4 of them said the same thing, so we thought, okay, pretty confident that that picture shows an AR-15 with a 30-round magazine. As you know, assault weapons, as the Democrats call them, you can no longer buy them in Washington state. You can also no longer buy what they dubbed high-capacity magazines, which is a magazine over 10 rounds. And Tara Simmons voted in favor of both of those laws. She voted in 2023 to ban the so-called assault weapons, which would include an AR-15. And in 2023, she also voted to ban the so-called high-capacity magazines. And I say so-called because a 30-round magazine is not really high capacity for anyone who knows anything about firearms. So the hypocrisy aspect of this is very clear. Here you have someone who just recently voted to ban the sale of so-called assault weapons, ban the sale of semi-automatic or of high-capacity magazines, and then gets on Facebook and posts a picture of herself using both of them. Now, to be clear, you can still use an assault weapon or high-capacity magazine as long as you had them before the bans went into place, which seems to be the case here, obviously. She says that this gun belongs to her trainer. It wasn't her firearm, which doesn't surprise me. But don't you think it's pretty hypocritical, especially in a post where she's talking about how she's learning to protect herself, that she would learn to protect herself using a firearm that she voted to ban from other people who want to protect themselves being able to buy it. It is the height of hypocrisy. So we reached out to Representative Tara Simmons, and I will have to say I didn't really expect her to respond. We've been pretty harsh on her on the show, but she did respond to all of our questions, gave us some pretty lengthy answers, so I want to read some of the relevant ones to you. So again, we had said, isn't this hypocritical to be using this gun in that magazine when you've said that you've agreed with your fellow Democrats that these are just so dangerous that citizens shouldn't be able to buy them anymore. She said, it was only my second time shooting and the gun belonged to my trainer. I don't think regular citizens need to have these form of firearms, but it was an experience for me to feel the differences in how firearms are handled. I stand by my vote to ban these and know it will take time for them to go away as they were grandfathered in. Okay. She goes on to say, I'd be open to an avenue for some citizens to have them under certain circumstances, especially after a psychological evaluation. And then she also says that there were constituents who saw that photo of her and didn't like it, although she says they were constituents of hers on the left. She said a lot of constituents didn't like that photo. It was my liberal constituents who did not approve of my photos, and I apologize for making people feel uneasy. Yeah, it doesn't make me feel uneasy. Not in the slightest. It makes me feel angry. Because not only did you do it after voting to ban both of them, you were so emboldened and almost shameless to post a picture of it. And I just couldn't believe it. And as I was reaching out to these firearms experts, they're like, oh my God. You know what it reminded me a lot of? Nicole, do you have the picture of Emily Randall? What is with people in Kitsap electing hypocrites to public office? Remember when Emily Randall, who represented that district, and she's now in Congress representing the Kitsap County area, when she's voting to ban natural gas, and then she turns around during one of the biggest storms of the year and posts a picture of her warming her feet next to a natural gas fireplace? Like, what is that? I think the Tara Simmons thing is worse, because you're talking about natural gas isn't a constitutional right. You're talking about voting away a constitutional right and then using the gun, just like putting it so shamelessly in people's faces. Okay, so I want to talk about this other angle, because some of you are probably screaming at your screen saying, how is she at a gun range using a gun when she's a convicted felon? I actually did not know, and that's much easier to explain away. I actually did not know that Tara Simmons had her record cleared. So there was an article here from KNKX, and we've since confirmed this with her. It goes back to 2023. It says, formerly incarcerated Washington lawmaker has her record cleared. Because she, of course, 10 or so years ago, maybe more than a decade ago now, she was convicted of a felony on drug crimes and spent time in prison. So KNKX said in a report 2 years ago, that she had her record cleared. And in reading up on it, she got it cleared because of a 2019 law that she helped to champion in Olympia. So this was before she was a lawmaker. And she worked with then State Representative Drew Hansen in her district to get this law passed that makes it easier for felons to get their records cleared. And so she benefited from that law, got her record cleared. We asked her about it. She said she got her firearms rights reinstated also in 2023. And so one of the things that we asked her about when we saw that is, gosh, is that not like special treatment? To be a lawmaker, to be able to work with a lawmaker on a bill that you then benefit from to get your record cleared. Here's what she said on that. Before I ever thought of being a lawmaker, I was an advocate who worked with then Rep. Hansen to pass the New Hope Act so people could eventually vacate their records more easily. This is available to others as well. In fact, I co-founded the nonprofit organization Civil Survival Project in 2015 when I was a law student and completed a fellowship after law school to help other formerly convicted people get a second chance. She went on to say the organization serves low-income people without charge in a variety of legal issues related to lack of opportunity because of a criminal record including record vacature. I have represented others for free myself, and of the hundreds of vacates done by myself or the organization, I have not seen a denial yet. It is not special treatment, and my entire mission in life is to help others who have been involved in the criminal legal system to find hope and opportunity. So she does not believe, apparently, that it's hypocritical for her to be using a firearm that she voted to ban and a magazine that she voted to ban at a gun range. So she doesn't believe that that's hypocritical to start with. And she also does not believe that it's hypocritical at all or special treatment in any way for her to move to get her felony record expunged. So there you have it. The picture pisses me off. The fact that she would feel or wouldn't second guess like, hey, I'm learning to use a firearm to be able to defend myself, which was one of the primary arguments against any sort of gun control policy. Is, hey, we want these firearms for self-defense. Yeah, we might want to use a rifle for self-defense. Yeah, we might want more than 10 rounds. And that Democrats just reject that. And now she's at a range using that exact firearm to learn how to defend herself. It's unbelievable to me. I appreciate her taking the time to respond to our questions, but it's like this rules for thee, not for me. And more that's happening. More and more that's happening. And, she said that her constituents who saw the photo on the left were upset by it because she was shooting a big, scary gun. Well, now I think people on the right are going to be upset by it because it's okay for you to learn how to defend yourself with one of these firearms that nobody else can go out and buy. It's absolutely insane. I will be posting on social media we asked her a bunch of questions about this, and she asked us, as long as we share her responses in full and not edit them down, which I'm happy to do as well. So we'll be posting those in full so they're in context. But there's really no excuse for this. Similar to Emily Randall warming her toesies by a gas fireplace after voting to strip away your ability to use natural gas in your home. The hypocrites need to be called out.